My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 240 of Legally Clueless. Thank you so much for rocking with this podcast. I've got nothing but love for you, OG members. I truly appreciate you. And if you're new to this podcast, welcome to the fam. Audio episodes like this go out every single Monday, and you can join our cozy corner of the internet. We're on Instagram at Legally Clueless Africa. Check out our YouTube. We have a pretty awesome series ongoing called After Hours that talks about all things love. And while you're there as well, head over to our website, legallycluelessafrica.com. And you can officially join the family by signing up. The links to all of those pages that I've talked about are in the show notes, so you don't have to rewind. However, I'm very excited for you to listen to this episode because we get to hear part 2 of Nelson's very interesting story. Listen to this.
Life just changed all of a sudden. From a place, I have a car, I have everything I need. I'm staying in a really nice place. Into I can't afford anything, I remember getting auctioned at that particular point, maybe 3 months after I'd left work. So the way they arrange alcohol in roads. So we'd hide Jameson behind that so that people do not come and you've done that. I think I have to come back for this, but no one else should see it.
That's part 2. It's coming up in a bit. However, how have you been? Before we even get to the song of the week, I hope you're doing well. I was reading up online that things are happening with the eclipse and you might start feeling super tired. And I was just like, I think I believe it. Because that's where I am. I hope you're being graceful with yourself. I hope you are taking things a day at a time. I had 2 friends come up to my house the days I even gone a few days ago. And one of them was feeling really down on a spiritual level and wanted to meditate near a river. There's a dam near my house that everybody here calls a river, but it's really a dam, but whatever. It's a river. So she came to so she could meditate there. And there was something very interesting she told me that I want to share with you. Sometimes your body, physical body, and your spirit are not moving at the same pace, right? So your body is tired, which is what I'm feeling. My body is tired. My spirit was tired, but was also forging forward. So I would have moments where I'm stuck in bed. I don't have enough energy to get out of bed or motivation, and I'm just in a funk. But at the same time, my spirit is planning all the things I want to do by the end of the year. So there's particular land I want to buy, and it's researching and all of these things. But at the same time, my spirit is oh my God, we're so tired. What's the point of life, etc. And so she kind of reminded me how you kind of have to take things slow and wait for your body to rest. Just sit in the discomfort of being tired and wait for your body to recover. I know I had scheduled 1 week for me to recover. Then I hit 2 weeks and I'm my goodness, I'm going on to my 3rd week. And I'm just my goodness, but I am feeling better. I feel my body is coming to. But yeah, that's kind of the message I wanted to share is it's okay to sit in the discomfort of your body being tired or your spirit being tired or your soul being tired. Just sit in it and give it rest. That's what I'm doing. So you feel you're in the same you're in the same boat as me. I hope that kind of helps. On to the song of the week, because we have Nelson's story that we have to jump into. I really love this song, and I'm just why am I only finding out about it? It's maybe 4 or so years old, and it's so yummy. I'm not too sure of the meaning, but while I was stalking the YouTube comments, there was one person who attempted to translate it and was saying the musician is talking about living in a different area from his mom and missing his mom. And when he vocalizes this, some of his boys kind of mock him for being a mama's boy or something like that. But it's so beautiful. It's one of those songs that I don't really think you need to fully understand the language. There is an energy in it that is just so beautiful. And it's by Java. And the name of the song is Umama. So in the show notes, I've put 2 links. A link to the music video, but also a link to him performing the song on Colors. I don't know. I just really liked the Colors one. It was beautiful, but I love all of those live performances. Anyway, a link to those 2 in the show notes. Let's jump right into Nelson's story. Now, as I told you last week, which is super awesome, Nelson is one of the winners from the Visa Everywhere initiative. That's how I formally got to meet him. Although back in the day when he was doing a lot of Jameson stuff, I had heard about him because I was working at a media station that was also doing a lot of Jameson stuff. But we'd never really met and I'd never really heard his story. And let me tell you, it is so interesting. Like when I was recording it, I was so in it. Then when I was editing it, I was just like, my goodness, this guy is brilliant. I want you to listen to it. It's going to be so inspiring with tons of laughter. And then when we come back, I'll tell you more about the Visa Everywhere initiative that his amazing company has won. And maybe we can get you into that competition. I mean, why not? But first, part 2 of Nelson's story. Legally Clueless, powered by Visa Everywhere initiative, helping startups unlock new opportunities.
So I decided to quit and start that. But little did I know I was getting this contract, so this orders, because people trusted that I come from a stable place, I'm working for care and stuff, so they can trust me and give me orders and things like that. But once I was out of that place, I'm just the guy. That was a hard realization. Life just changed all of a sudden, as in from a place I have a car, I have everything I need, staying in a really nice place, into I can't afford anything, So I remember now losing everything, getting auctioned at that particular point, maybe 3 months after I'd left work, because I didn't change my spending pattern. It continued, so my savings were all just going down and there's no income coming in, right? So got auctioned and stuff. I was in the streets, but the one thing that I always really admire about myself is I have that spirit of never giving up, and it never troubles me if I lose anything material, because for me it's just a material thing. The one thing I know about myself is that I have the power of generating money. I can be dropped anywhere, anytime, in any part of the world, and I'll start from scratch and I'll make it somehow. That I'm always very sure. So I started now thinking, what can I do to get myself out of this scenario? Number one, I know my skill sets were above most of IT guys available, and at that time, most companies didn't have even IT departments. That was maybe around 2004, 2005. So they would outsource, basically. So I decided the best way to do this is that I knew the IT companies which were providing services to these NGOs didn't even have the skill sets required to be able to service some of these skills. So I approached 3 of them who we had been engaging with before, because of, they were supplying things to us and stuff, and told them, so if you do your normal tenders and stuff, if you get any that needs this particular kind of skill set, I'll come in on a subcontract level and, do that for you. So I got that, and that started running off very well, right? Then I started building up back again, because I used to get so much work coming in. I got now introduced directly to clients, NGOs, those Catholic-run organizations and stuff like that. And then I decided I don't want too much work. I don't want work for, I have 10 appointments in a day, each giving me maybe 3-4K, but too much run around and stuff. Why don't I get long-term contracts with just maybe 4 NGOs? I just have to be appearing once a week. So so that's what I did. I got 4 organizations who I had 1-year contracts with, and I only needed to be there once a week. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, actually, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Always used to want to leave Monday open, right? Yeah, the weekend is too long, man. We need to recover from it. So that's what happened. And now, all of a sudden, I have a lot of free time. I have solid income coming in. And, what do I do with my life? And I started thinking about things. I always keep on thinking. And I'm like, that's now in 2007. I'm like, so I used to love beer. I was like a Tusker Damu guy. Come rain or sunshine, a cold one will always be good. But I started getting some side effects like bloating. Even half a beer, so I'm bloated. So I'm like, I gathered 2 of my friends. I'm like, guys, why should we suffer buying with this kind of drink, and it's our money that we are spending? Can't we start looking for something else? I'm on the path to look for a better drink for myself. So let's do this. So these guys joined me. So we started going out, and it's every day and different bars and trying different drinks. So tried vodkas, it's not working. Wine, a bunch of 3 guys drinking wine, it's looking just off, Some whiskeys, the hangover is crazy and stuff. So we were just experimenting everything, right? And then there's one day, one of my friends who owned a bar which was opposite Tiaya, he called me and said, I know you guys are looking for a drink. I happened to bump into this specific whiskey, which is really great. As I was traveling, you should try it. I brought it in a bottle for you guys. And he stocked them in his bar because he knows these guys are going to buy. So he went, and the first day, that was Jameson. That's when the first time I'm getting, acquainted with Jameson. I think that was in 2008. It wasn't been stocked anywhere else and stuff. We tried. It's really smooth. It's, easy to drink. When you go home, wake up, no hangover, we're calling each other like, hey, this guy must have put water in that thing. There's no way it can be this good. Let's go try again. So we tried again. Same thing. Day 3 we were sold. We were like, now this is our drink. So we started looking for it across Nairobi. Who is stocking this thing? Then the only place that was stocking that time was Uchumi on Ngong Road. So they are the only guys who had it. I think the distributor was only supplying to them. Pernod Ricard was not in Kenya then. So when he discovered it, we were so excited. So the way they arrange alcohol in roads, right? So we'd hide Jameson behind that so that people do not come and Exactly. You've done that. I have to come back for this, but no one else should see it. Yeah, so we'd hide it, and what you'd do is we'd go to a club, and we were bar hopping a lot those days. So when you get to this club, we're telling them, if you can get Jameson, we'll buy 3 bottles. And where you can get it is from Uchumi. And if you go to the shelf next to the vodka, look behind it. So they send whatever running. They send a waiter running to go to buy it, bring it to the club, and then we would buy all of them. And at that time, guys didn't know how to mark up, bottles, and we were the first to start that bottle strategy, right? So we would buy 2 bottles, actually. The first one is on our table, and anyone who passes our table, who even looks at our direction, we give them a shot, because, we are so excited about this whiskey, that how really smooth it is, how easy to transition from a beer drinker into a spirit brand, that Jameson would make it. When the bottle gets to a half, we give to the DJ. We're like, you guys need also to try this out. So we do that in all the clubs that we were going. It got to a point where, since we were the only ones who would be buying bottles, they would call us in the morning on a Friday at tea. Hello, sir, would you like us to reserve a table for you? Could we put a VIP section for you, or set aside a table for you? How many in your party? Things like that. And some would go incentivizing us, saying, we'll give you free food, if you come and stuff. It's because we created a movement where guys thought we own Jameson. So they started calling us the Jameson crew. And this was coined by DJs because of these half bottles we are giving all over the place. So DJs started advertising their nights. The way you advertise your night that you're, having a gig somewhere, they would advertise with that saying, Jameson crew will be the building. Because guys knew if your Jameson crew is there, you're going to get free whiskey, whether you know them or not, So, so it became just, a movement, basically. And you'd find bar owners calling us, asking us, hey, we've run out of Jameson and we can't find it in, that supermarket. Where do we find it? We're like, even us, we don't know. So I think the company started realizing there's a lot more demand coming from Kenya on Jameson. So Pernod Ricard at that time, and, I think that time they were based in South Africa, the headquarters for Africa, so they would increase stock. Normally, stock comes from Ireland, but with excess stock in South Africa, they would add to the Kenyan stock since it's nearer so that it can fill the gap. So they're like, hey, there's a lot of activity going on in Kenya, and we've not even invested there, We started the Jameson Crew Facebook page. Those days it was only Facebook, and had a lot of followers, and we started, because we used to do Jameson-only parties and things like that. So one of the things we did was called 12 Pubs of Christmas. Started off, it's an Irish tradition where on the 12th of December, you go to 12 different bars and have a shot of, or a drink or whatever, right? So we decided to do a Jameson 12 Pubs of Christmas. So we go on 12th, it's a holiday. So I remember the first one was in Westlands area. So we went to, I think it was called Njuguna's Fast to eat at midday. And it's a public holiday, so everyone is loose. It's a December and stuff. And we had a group of about 50, started off with a group of about 50 people, then started going to bars, each bar. And we had done a recce the previous night. We had spoken to bar managers, telling them, we're going to be at this bar at this point to this point. There'll be 50 people, and they all want to be served a shot of Jameson. What price will you sell to us? And would you have enough staff to be able to cater to that? Because we only have 30 minutes to do that and move on to the next bar. We started doing that, and what you do is to buy even small gifts for each manager of each bar. So when you get there, we do that, take the one shot, give the manager, a simple gift, and take photos and move to the next. So this time we are clad in Santa hats and stuff, right? So it was so interesting because we started off as 50. I think we ended up as 300 by the end of the night, because when you got into a bar, guys see that excitement. They're like, hey, even us, we want to join, what's happening, You're like, give us 50 bob. Here's a hat. Let's continue, So this went on. So we started the first 12 Pubs of Christmas, and then the second year, in 2009, we did another one, which now was Greater Nairobi area, because the first one was just Westlands area. So second one, we were more organized. We hired vans and stuff so that, no drink and driving and things like that, water in the vans and stuff. So that drew a lot of excitement online and stuff, which was now Pernod Ricard in France were able to see. They're like, there's a lot of the digital team was seeing a lot of activity, Jameson Crew and stuff. They're like, my goodness. So we became a topic, at the HQ. They were told, you must reach out to these guys. We must see how best we can work with them. So they reached out to me because I was managing that Jameson Crew page. So they reached out to me from there. They're like, oh, we see you doing a lot of activity in Kenya for us. Without our support, we'd like to be of assistance. Let us know how we can help. And, they sent a few merchandise and things like that. And so, that at that point, we were just talking to the digital team. We were not really the higher ups and stuff. So that was cool. We didn't really think much into it. But in 2011, I decided I want to do this thing in Mombasa. So let's get out of town and do a proper 3-day pub crawl. So sitting down, doing the calculations, I'm saying, it's going to cost guys 40K each, transport, whatever, and stuff. So that's too steep at the beginning of the holiday because there's Christmas and stuff, so people will not be able to do it. Like, now how do I do this? Then I'm like, but Pernod Ricard said they can assist in this kind of things. So, but I said I need to reach to, the key decision maker. Then I decided to look for the CEO for Africa. So found him through LinkedIn from previous discussions with the child teams. The digital teams in Pernod Ricard. I knew that the format of email was first name, last name at pernod-ricard.com. So I did that. Called email, right? Then I put together a nice proposal and showed what we had done before with Jameson, pictorial and everything and stuff. And I remember sending it to him like at 2 a.m. I sent and I was really not sure if he'll reply and stuff. I just said, at least let me try. 5 minutes down the line, I hear a ping back. I'm checking, it's him. He's replied. I'm like, what the hell? He's like, this is fantastic. This is amazing. And he's copied now the marketing director Africa, finance director Africa, work with this guy, give him whatever he wants to make this thing happen. Imagine. So they sent me 1.5 million shillings without ever meeting, without ever nothing. Yeah. And told me, go have a blast, just give us the, reports and how it went and stuff like that, as in just like that. And then they also sent me 80 bottles of Jameson, I think. Yeah, for that party and all. I organized a really huge thing. I'm telling guys, now it's on the house. So we had buses, 25-seater buses, which I made branded with Jameson. I went to Mombasa before, talked to 12 different bars and their owners, and we got even kits for the bartenders. Like, I only just served Jameson, as in we did a proper activation, which I'd never done before, just by thinking of how best can we do this. I would give each bar, I think, maybe 2 bottles to tell them, okay, charge our guys 100 per shot. I'll give you 2 bottles for free, because I had 80 bottles from the brand. And and organized a really nice party. We had where we were staying was a group of flats, which I took all of them, and paid for and stuff. And then after that, it was really great, as in it was huge. And then after that, I did a report and sent them and told them, thank you so much. And actually, we have 700,000 shillings remaining from this. Where can I send it to? Like, that was yours. I said, it was a grant. You do whatever you want. If you're going to run away with it, run away. So from there, they're like, we are really motivated by what you're doing with Jameson in Kenya. And in fact, that director now is telling me, and there are a few directors who are coming from HQ also, about 5 of them. They want to come together to Kenya for me to show them around and stuff like that. That was now 2012 beginning. So they came, so I took them around. So, and the bars that were created at that time was, as in, we had VIP spots everywhere we went. Even if we don't appear, after midnight is when that VIP spot is taken away and given to someone else. So we would get in, then immediately I'm getting in, like, there's a DJ's like, Jameson Chris in the building and stuff, So these guys are like shocked. How did you do this? You have so much influence over these guys without any support, any money, which has never been seen in any market. How did you do it? So at the end of the night, was so impressed and shocked. They're like, Nelson, we've decided to set up a Pernod Ricard here, and we would like you to be our first employee. We would like to offer you a position. We're setting up Pernod Ricard now in the next 6 months here, and we'd like to offer you the position of our ambassador, brand ambassador, full-time employee in any stuff. I didn't even ask how much, or I was like, where do I sign? Meanwhile, I'm shutting down contracts of IT. I'm like, I'm too old for IT now. How long will I be at the tables looking at cables? So when I'm getting into the market, I'm like, okay, so now I'm officially employed by Pernod Ricard, heading Jameson. I think we were just 6 people in the Kenyan office at that time. So I'm the only one who's handling that brand alone, right? So I'm like looking at statistics, despite thinking that we were selling a lot of Jameson, it was only maybe 2,000 cases in a year. People do 30,000, 40,000 cases, the competitors. So I was like, hey, I really need to face these giants, because there are people who've been in the market over 24 years, market dominance, they have top of mind. So there were giants that we were going against with Jameson. So I decided, okay, I now I have a small understanding about consumers. I really didn't used to pay attention to them that much, but now I want to be very deliberate to pay attention to who is the consumer that we're going after. I decided I'm going to spend 8 weeks in bars, going alone, sitting in a corner and just stalking consumers. So over 8 weeks, I collected so much information, right? But the one thing that stood out to me was that consumers trusted bartenders over anyone else. I decided these are going to be my influencers. Meanwhile, the other competitors were using traditional celebrities and socialites, that traditional model of influencer to really drive uptake for their brands. So I started the first Jameson Bartender Club, and every first Monday of the month I would hire a club, shut it down, fill it with Jameson, and now invite these guys who had started collecting a database of the bartenders. I remember the first night they came, there were about 73 bartenders. Before the party started, I would take 20 minutes to do brand immersion, just to get them to understand what the brand is, where it's from, how it's made, what are the ingredients, but most importantly, do a comparative testing between Jameson and the two other brands. Because previously, before that, Pernod Ricard had sent me to Ireland for 3 months to just study everything under the sun about whiskeys under the masters of whiskey. Coming back, I had that knowledge. A connoisseur, I know how to bring the elements when they're doing testing that would make this brand appear better than the other two. Yeah, so that worked. Then after that, I let them party the whole night. There's free drinks, there's a DJ, there's, free food and stuff. And at the end of the day, they're happy. They're going back home, they're excited, they go back to the station speaking about how a great time they had. So this went on and on and on. By month number 3, I had a database of 5,000 bartenders. And by month number 7, I had grown Jameson from 0 to the highest selling whiskey in Kenya. Pernod Ricard had never seen that kind of growth before. So I was promoted into Africa to look after the sub-Saharan African markets and replicate what I'd done in Kenya in the other markets. Yeah. And I used the same Jameson strategy, and it worked over and over again. So in sitting down and thinking, if I could put this idea I have in my head, the Jameson strategy, onto a tech platform, I could use it to grow any brand anywhere across the globe. And that's how iFluence came about. All right, so I like to put it simply because at first I used to put a lot of jargon, the AI and stuff, and just throw everyone all over the place. But for us, we've discovered a way to use AI to drive word of mouth at scale, accelerating customer acquisition, growth, and behavior change for global brands. I always say that influencing is not a career, influencing is an outcome. So anyone can be an influencer. Influencing is hugely built out of trust. Yeah, you trust your hairdresser because they have domain expertise in that area, right? When it comes to hair products. You trust your bartender because they have domain expertise behind the bar. So they'll know exactly what they're doing. You'll trust your mechanic because he has domain expertise in fixing cars, Exactly. Yeah, so it's a very trust-based thing, and it cannot be a sustainable career. It's just an outcome that you look for in any particular circumstance. But there's what we call creators. You're a creator. Podcasting, you can sustain it, and it's it's really one of the fastest growing channels for media channels that guys can use for advertising, because it has a receptive audience and people are actually paying attention to it and they'll listen through this. It's not passive listening. That was a good surprise. But yeah, so how iFluence grew now after, I got out of Pernod Ricard, which everyone thought I was mad or nuts to be living such a high-flying job and stuff like that. I decided to set up iFluence because I was really compelled with the strategy. It's tried and tested with my background, and I think I can do really well in it. And I'm seeing marketers across the globe suffering from, that very thing of being able to determine ROI out of influencer marketing campaigns and even being able to deliver that ROI. Got out 2019, started putting together this on paper, just doing a business case and stuff. And I was lucky to get funded on paper. I've just presented paper to an international investor who backed me up with 100K saying, start it, put together the platform, get early traction. Let's see how that goes. Then we see if we can get into more funding. Yeah, that was 2020, January 2020, just at the beginning of COVID. Yeah. So first year, first of all, I look for AI experts. I couldn't get any in Kenya, none in Africa, because AI was really still underdeveloped. Even until now, we're not really there in terms of expertise. So I opened up my scope in terms of looking for new IT employees, tech employees. So I got one from Belarus. First AI guy was from Belarus, then he employed two more guys, one from China and Japan. Yeah, so we were like already a global company, right? So getting these guys on board, we started building the first version of the platform, which we call the MVP. It was ready in March 2020, just in time for COVID. Just in time. I just decided, okay, what else can I do with this thing? Now that I made this thing for brands, but no one is right now investing in advertising, marketing and things. What else can I do? Then I realized a lot of developmental partners, NGOs, government aid agencies were looking for ways to spread awareness amongst the masses around COVID and how to curb its spread. I'm like, wait a minute, my platform is able to go down to grassroots level, like pin down, let's say, Westlands area, and is able to identify key opinion leaders within that region. Could be a religious leader, local health worker and stuff who people listen to. Because imagine you're feeling sick and one of your neighbors is a doctor, you'll immediately reach out and say, a quick one, a doctor. We do that a lot with legal, right? Yeah. So there are people who community members really gravitate towards when it comes to certain matters, right? So our platform was able to pick up this particular kind of individuals who would actually have impact in those communities at that grassroots level, rather than using, a celebrity or a comedian, big time influencer to speak about it, because none will really relate to them. I'll relate with my next door neighbor who's a doctor and is telling me, hey, by the way, this thing is serious. You have to stay at home, keep your distance and stuff. Got my first contract, I think it was with DFID, which is the UK aid now, Unilever, Amref, where I used to work before. From there, this just started coming so many. And the first deal was in Kenya. I think we're doing 10 counties in across Kenya, and then now started getting new campaigns from different other, like even Africa Union and stuff. So they started getting me out of the country. By end of year one, I think we're working in 5 African countries. Yeah, because the platform can work anywhere in the world. For our first year revenue was about $200,000. Year 2, 2021, when now brands started coming in, they've now realized we have to live with this thing and stuff. So we started bringing them on board and stuff. Our revenue shot up to about $1.6 million. And it's just been like that. So, and then now we have 2 subsidiaries, one in Kenya, one in India, 45 employees, setting up a subsidiary in South Africa, Nigeria, and Dubai within the next year or so. With that, our strategy was like I was saying, it's built out of the Jameson strategy. And then we use now AI to gain deep insights into this target audience. So we do psychographic analysis, behavioral analysis, sentiment analysis, just to draw these insights. And then from there, we work backwards and identify people in the trust networks, in the domains that they are in, that are relatable to that campaign. And then we will find so many people, like 100,000 maybe people, but we'll sieve them down to 2 things. We look for brand affinity, whether these people are already key opinion customers, already buy the brand, they enjoy the brand, because someone who's using the brand is the best one to sell it and to their friends. And their friends know that this guy, he has an iPhone or he drives this car, that kind of thing. Second thing we look for is emotional connection to the audience. Whenever they post, do people reply positively, neutrally, or negatively? So we go for the most positive because those are guys who have highest impact. The third thing we look for is brand security to ensure that there's no conflict of interest. Maybe you cannot like an iPhone and like, an Android at the same time. So once we sieve down, and that's all using AI, we now find the right people. And at that point, we can even predict and tell you, out of this campaign, you'll see 3,000 sales of this particular thing. One of the companies I really look forward to working with was Visa, but I didn't know how to get in there. So I tried, then I was like, let me I'll get recognition through this, through this competition. So I applied for the challenge, and really I was not applying to win. I was just applying to get my foot into the door so that we can now get into that exchange, this business, yeah. So I applied, and then I'm called like maybe a month down the line. I'm like, you've been shortlisted as the 5 finalists for Kenya out of 200 and whatever people who had applied. And I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, okay, let's game on. Let's do this. Yeah. So got in there, did the Kenya competition, won. I mean, it was amazing. Then went to the Simia regional competition. Again, won as audience favorite. I achieved my, what I set out to do in the first place, just to get a foot into the door in Visa, and also a bonus was winning, I mean, I'm really happy I applied for it, So, but I've had a really burning idea, which now is why I was chasing down Visa for. It's, I want to start Africa's first creators hub, right? And because looking around, there's hundreds of thousands of youths who want to get into the creator space but do not have access to tools and resources, customers, how to find customers, the suitable payment solutions to use, and also financial literacy, because you're a business as a creator, right? People confuse influencers and creators. Influencers is anyone can be an influencer. That's not a career. Creator is a career because you have specific skill set that you can use to monetize and sustainably. But how do you ensure that you're providing quality which will be to global standards so that you're marketable? This is where they're falling short. I want to do that for creators. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to work together with Visa with, because we share common objectives. First of all, they also want to support creators in Africa. They want to also provide and help in terms of financial literacy and stuff, which is aligned with us. And also the one big major pain point I've experienced in building influence is payments. We're working in so many countries, and when it comes to paying influencers, there's no one solution that fits all. So we have like 13 different payment partners. If we want to pay Nigeria, we're like, where's Nigeria? There he is. So then you use him to pay Nigerians. But Visa can provide a way you can use one platform, to be able to do payments across the globe. So yeah, so we pitched that, and it got traction with the audience and also the judges at the first Nairobi level, and then even the next level where we were audience favorites because they really resonated with that particular product and things like that. And now, so we are now bosom buddies with Visa. Yeah, so what I tell entrepreneurs, and even going back to that mindset of Africans not, socialized to get into entrepreneurship, I usually call that what exactly you've described. It's so funny because I keep telling people about this. It's called the script. As Africans have been, the way we are brought up by our parents and stuff into a particular journey is what I refer to as a script, like you're saying, go to school, go to primary school, high school, pass well, get into uni, pass well, get into a job, work, retire, go farming and, that's the end of the road. If you veer out of that script, you think like you're done when things are thick for years, and now that's the end of life. And that's the thing that we have to change. We have to be able to dream bigger, right? We have to be able to explore. We have to be ready to do that. And that's why the West has really excelled in that kind of way. So we could get into that stage. And what I advise people going out into entrepreneurship, again, it's one simple thing: just dream big. If you confine yourself to something small, that's where you'll grow to. When I started Ifluence, I was very clear that it's going to be a global company. And that's why we've grown in 3 years into 23 countries, right? A lot of people will start by saying, hey, I'll start this business to do deliveries in Nairobi. You're not seeing ahead, as in you just want to make money out of delivering things in Nairobi. And you're leaving a lot of money on the table, because if you just tweak this thought and put this business plan into something which is appealing to greater masses, even across borders, you can make so much more. So people are very restrictive in their thinking when they're putting up businesses. That's what I encourage people to just dream big and go after it, because how will you know if you will not get it,
Legally Clueless, powered by Visa Everywhere Initiative, where startups unlock global opportunities and platforms. Visit www.visa.co.ke/visa-everywhere to learn more. I absolutely loved this story. I normally try not to have favorites when it comes to the stories that I've recorded, because I've recorded like over 200 Africans. But I really loved the energy in this one. I don't know. It's the laughter. It's the real, tangible lessons that you get. Maybe it's also because I'm at a pretty early stage of running like an SME. We're just about to turn 5. So I'm like identifying with a lot of the things he talks about. And then I'm also seeing, wow, okay, it's possible. Like we could grow to be super big. I need to dream bigger and not play small. Yeah, so maybe that's why I'm really like identifying with this story. But in the show notes, I've put a link to Nelson's Instagram so you can connect with him. I've put a link to Ifluence in case you want to learn more about them. And I've also put a link to the Visa Everywhere Initiative. It aims to help startups like yours to unlock new opportunities, right? And to date, nearly 12,000 startups have applied to be in this program. Many of those are now working with Visa or some of Visa's clients. So like there's a direct benefit, right? And so the competition that Nelson was talking about is the Visa Everywhere Initiative competition. Gives you a global stage to pitch your solutions to a panel of experts, to win prizes, funding like he spoke about, and just gain wider attention globally. So I'm very proud once again to say that there were some brilliant Kenyan participants this year. People like Radhika Ndovu. A couple of episodes ago, we heard her story. Then there's Nelson with Ifluence, who took the overall prize of 20,000 USD. And there's also Ledger. So if you check out the show notes, there's a link for you to learn more about the Visa Everywhere Initiative. Who knows? You could be the next person who I record. After recording Nelson's story, and you'll be telling me how this initiative has helped your business. I mean, why not? We've been told to dream big. And speaking of dreaming big, if you also want to be on this podcast sharing your very inspiring African story, in the show notes, there's a link to our storyteller form. Fill it out and we will get back to you. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, as long as you're African. You could be on the continent, you could be in the States, in the UK, wherever you are. We will record your story because it's valid and it matters. So fill out the storyteller form. If you're in Kenya, though, you can catch us on Trace FM here every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. Fridays, we're there at 1 p.m. Just head over to traceradio.co.ke to stream. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for holding space for me. I realized I didn't say thank you after the Going Bald in New York episode. So much love came through from you on our Instagram page. It was shared with me and I really appreciate that. And thanks for being part of this family and listening to this episode to the very end. This week, I'm just sending you tons of love. If you're going through that season like me where your body is tired, your spirit is tired, or your soul is tired, let's just sit in the discomfort of the fatigue and just like gift ourselves rest. It's okay. The world will not crumble if we do that. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.